Okay, so in this video, we are going to just introduce the assignment I hope you're going to spend the next couple of minutes doing. And again, this is a Gemara from Maseches Shabbos. We'll start over here, a little bit less confusing view of the Gemara here, Shabbos Daf Kuf Nun. And again, just from these lines, again, the conversation of the Gemara has to do with the topic called Hirhur. Is Hirhur Kedibur Dami or not? Right, you'll see that quickly over here. Is it Hirhur Kedibur or Hiralav Kedibur? Meaning, do thoughts count like speech or do they not? So one ramification, which we're not going to get into today, but just so you understand the concept, is if I think something, does it count as if I've spoken it? So if I open up a siddur and I read and think the words, but I don't actually say them, does that count as if I have spoken the words to daven? So that's a very fascinating conversation that is discussed throughout Shas, and this is one place that goes through the conversation, perhaps machlokas, if you will. And again, I'm going to start over here just to read the words of the Gemara, then we'll look at my little annotated version here. But we're trying to figure out here is whether or not this particular Tana the Gemara, Rabbi Yochanan, whether or not he holds that Hirhur is Kedibur Dami or not. And the Gemara previously to this had made some discussion that sounded like Rabbi Yochanan holds that in fact Hirhur is Kedibur Dami. So the Gemara asks a question: Mi Amar Rabbi Yochanan Dibur Aser Hirhur Mutter? Sounds like, is it true that Rabbi Yochanan holds that Hirhur is Kedibur Dami? Again, sounds like Dibur is Aser, but Hirhur is Mutter. So it sounds like Rabbi Yochanan holds that Hirhur is Kedibur Dami. And the Gemara thinks that we have a place to say that Rabbi Yochanan doesn't say that. So if we just take a quick look over here, right? From this first statement in the Gemara, it sounds like Mi Amar Rabbi Yochanan Dibur Aser Hirhur Mutter. If Hirhur is Mutter, that means, as opposed to Dibur, that means it's not like Dibur, because Dibur is Aser, Hirhur is Mutter. Again, forget about the case that it was talking about, but clearly it sounded like Rabbi Yochanan holds Hirhur is Lav Kedibur Dami. That's the Gemara's statement, again, from a Gemara we did not learn. Now the Gemara is going to ask, but is that true? Maybe I'll just stick with the annotated version here. Alma Hirhur Lav Kedibur Dami, right? As we see that Hirhur is Lav Kedibur Dami. Is that really true? V'hamar Rabba bar bar Chana Rabbi Yochanan, but we see Rabba bar bar Chana says in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, B'chol makom, all the time, Mutter laharher, you're allowed to think words of Torah. Chutz mi beis hamerchatz mi beis hakisei, except for in the bathhouse and in the bathroom. Sounds like if you're not allowed to say Torah, or I'm sorry, if you're not allowed to think Hirhur, if you're not allowed to think words of Torah in the bathhouse, in the bathroom, then it must be because it's as if you've spoken them, and if you've spoken them, it's, we all know you're for sure not allowed to speak words of Torah in the bathroom, right? So it sounds like thinking words of Torah is like speaking them. So from this statement of Yochanan, it sounds like Hirhur is Kedibur Dami. So which is it? The Gemara says the previous Gemara sounds like Rabbi Yochanan holds it is Lav Kedibur, and this statement sounds like it is Kedibur. So the Gemara makes it the answer, and it says no. Shiny Hasam, this case, this statement of Rabbi Yochanan that you're not allowed to think Torah thoughts in the bathroom, that has nothing to do with Hirhur Kedibur Dami, right? Really, in fact, Rabbi Yochanan holds Hirhur is not Kedibur Dami. So why are you not allowed to think Torah thoughts in the bathroom? Different reason. Because we're a holy nation, and we are, it's not holy to think thoughts of Torah in the bathroom, so that would be inappropriate. So really, meaning Rabbi Yochanan could hold that Hirhur is not Kedibur, right? It's not at all like speaking, but you're still not in the bathroom allowed to do it, right? So the ba'inan b'hayamachanacha kadosh, we require machanacha kadosh v'leika, and there is no hayamachanacha kadosh v'leika, means and there isn't, meaning in the bathroom. That's not that would not be a fulfillment of machanacha kadosh if you were to think Torah thoughts. So far we try to maintain that Rabbi Yochanan could maintain like he initially held that Hirhur is not Kedibur. It says the Gemara, this last previous statement of Vayamachanacha Kadosh doesn't help you, because look at the end of the pasuk, right? The end of the pasuk. Let me just show you quickly over here. The pasuk here in Dvarim Tezvav Chaf Gimel. This is in Parak Chaf Gimel pasuk Tezvav. Ki Hashem Lokechem is Halech B'Kerav Machanacha. Hashem walks in your midst. Latzilcha v'laseiso Yivecha Lefanecha, to save you and to bring your enemy before you. Vayamachanacha Kadosh, and you should be a holy nation. V'lo yira b'cha ervas davar. And there should be, again, literally, not loosely translated, no erva should emanate from you. So says the Gemara, if you look at the end of the pasuk right, we started Vayamachana Kadosh, but then it says V'lo yira b'cha ervas davar. Davar, like dibur, right? So it sounds like that whole pasuk is only prohibiting dibur, right? Rak dibur aser, but hirhor is mutter. Right, so that would mean that it still sounds like Rabbi Yochanan holds that hirhor is kedibur, right? Because this Vayamachanecha Kadosh was not a way to get out of the previous question of the Gemara, because that pasuk is referring dafka to dibur. Right, so now we're back to Rabbi Yochanan. It sounds like he must be holding hirhor kedibur, right? Which again is a contradiction from what the Gemara had thought originally. Says the Gemara, another possible way of answering it, no, don't worry, the first part of the pasuk and the second part of the pasuk are different pieces. No, V'lo yirbacha ervas davar is referring to a different halacha, the halacha that we've already discussed of seeing erva. He happens to mention a non-Jew. The Gemara proceeds to say that it's talking about Jews too, that when a person is not fully clothed, it is prohibited to say Kriya Shema in front of them, and that's what Lo Yira B'cha Ervas Davar is referring to. Okay, so again, I've tried to just literally translate the Gemara and bring you through this Hirhur Kedibur and Hirhur Lav Kedibur. So what I ask you now with your Chavrusa to do is to please try to come up with a way that this Gemara that we just described, how would this support or impact the conversation we had in class before vacation about Kol Isha, is it an Issa D'Oraisa, is it an Issa D'Rabbanan? So again, this Gemara does not talk at all about Kol Isha, so you have to make the connections based on things that we've talked about before. Everyone have a good Shabbos. I look forward to seeing you in class on Monday.